butter. Want to get up so you can see? Want to say hi to the people? You want to say hi to the people? Yes. Yes, that's your people. That's your people. Oh my gosh. Hi, my name is Adriana, and today I will be doing a book review of Cabinet of Curiosities by Preston. Cabinet of Curiosities is the third installment in the Pendergast series, but to get the total background context on all of the characters, you actually need to read 3 books. The first 2, Relic and Reliquary, are books 1 and 2 of the Pendergast series, and I do have a book talk about those here on my channel. And then the third one you need to read is Thunderhead, which technically isn't a part of the Pendergast series. The main character of Thunderhead, Nora Kelly, plays a really big part in this third installment. So if you want to get the full reading experience of Cabinet of Curiosities, you do need to read Relic, Reliquary, and Thunderhead, all of which I have reviews on my channel. So this Pendergast series as a whole is quickly becoming one of my favorite series. It's so fun, so thrilling, and I mean, they're mystery thrillers, so that makes sense. I prefer to go into them totally blind, so if you're like me, I would say try out Relic, see what you think. I think they are such a fun, I don't even know how to explain it. They're just fun. They're just a really good time. So if you like to go into your books totally blind, I am going to keep this non-spoiler, but I am going to go over synopsis and characters and everything else. So starting with the synopsis, obviously Pendergast is back, and we actually get to see a lot more of him this time. In Relic and Reliquary, he doesn't show up till like halfway through, but this time we're starting off with Pendergast, and we are also starting off with Nora, who I guess got fired from her position in Utah and is now working at the New York Natural History Museum. So when a construction crew breaks ground for this new project, they find that below the foundation of this building is a huge graveyard of a serial killer in New York City, and Pendergast immediately becomes interested in this 100-year-old case and ropes Nora into it.
He roped me into this!
And after our favorite reporter, William Smithback, writes a story on the whole ordeal and its connection to the Natural History Museum, a series of copycat murders appear. And so the rest of the story ensues on who is this copycat killer and what connection they have to this old serial killer. So I think that's all I want to say about synopsis. Again, I like to go into my books pretty blind. I didn't even really know that much about this book before I jumped into it. But very cool, very fun. Starting with characters, obviously Pendergast is a huge part of this book, and he is such a blast. I love just his whole character is so weird, and he has such a weird breadth of knowledge, and he uses his insane knowledge about vastly different parts of science and history to endear himself to other side characters in the novel, and that's always fun. In this book specifically, you can really tell the parallels between him and like Sherlock Holmes. And obviously this book came out well before the TV show Sherlock, but at one point Pendergast does kind of go into like a mind palace sort of thing, so the parallels there are just stuck in my brain. And in this book, we actually get a lot more of his background and his family history, so that's kind of fun too, to be able to dive into this more enigmatic character and really flesh him out and what his story is and a little bit of why he is the way he is. He's still very much a question mark as far as his entire background. And like I said before, Nora Kelly is back. Her mini-series within the Pendergast series is a little bit confusing to me in the way they decided to number it. So technically Thunderhead is number 0 in the Nora Kelly series, and then this book, Cabinet of Curiosities, it's number 3 in Pendergast, but number 0.5 in Nora Kelly, so that's just, it's like a whole thing, but whatever, it's fine. I don't think they really anticipated Nora Kelly kind of getting her own spin-off series outside of having Pendergast around, but here we are. But I love Nora Kelly. She is definitely one of my favorite fictional characters. I've read I guess at this point now, I have read all of what is out in the Nora Kelly series, and you can definitely tell a difference in how she is characterized in these early 90s, early 2000s books versus the more recent books like Scorpion's Tail and Old Bones. They spend a lot of time talking about how pretty she is in these older books, which it's like, it's fine, but I'm glad they're done with that now in the newer books. But they make it very apparent that she is extremely beautiful in a lot of different scenes, but she's also, you know, extremely capable and extremely intelligent. But I guess all of the books I had read before this one, she was, you know, more in her element as an archaeologist in Utah, or in, I guess, just kind of in the American Southwest. And in this one, you can definitely tell she's a bit out of her element, having to deal with more kind of day-to-day politics of this museum and having to present herself differently, you know, not rock climbing, like a bunch of different stuff and whatever. So you get to see her be a lot more vulnerable than you do in Thunderhead, especially emotionally in her relationship with Smithback, and physically just being, you know, out of her element and not super comfortable with being in a large city like New York. So leading into Smithback, our favorite lovable prick, his characterization is just so fun to me because he's just, you can totally envision this annoying and overly ambitious reporter character, and he's a good time. I'm glad he's back for this one, and he definitely gets put through the ringer. And then getting on to kind of our final main-ish character, we have the cop O'Shaughnessy. He's kind of our stand-in for Lieutenant D'Agosta from the Relic and Reliquary duology, but I do kind of miss D'Agosta, but I don't know. O'Shaughnessy's a fine stand-in as is. Moving on to setting and atmosphere, one of the reasons I decided to pick up this book is because I thought it'd be a good kind of transition into spooky season, you know, definitely being a mystery thriller, and it definitely delivered on that front. It is very spooky. We get a lot of really kind of detailed descriptions of, you know, an old house that they spend part of the book in, and the archives of the mystery. We already kind of have an association in our minds from Relic of it being very spooky and kind of creepy. So now if I ever do go to the New York Museum of Natural History, I'm probably gonna be very spooked out if it's dark at all. We also get to spend a bit more time in Pendergast's apartment in New York, the Dakota, and that just seems like it's gonna be a really fun setting to kind of keep coming back to as the series goes on as a whole. So I hope we do get to go back there. It's just, Pendergast comes from an extremely rich old money family, and you can definitely tell in the way that his apartment is described and his clothes are described and just kind of everything around him is described, which I think kind of adds to the whole like spooky vibe, you know. Old money people tend to be a little spooky. Next, I'd like to touch on the plot and the pacing more so than like actually anything else, because as any good thriller, it does have a twist and I don't want to ruin that for anybody. I think the plot is just, it gets really addicting in the second half of the book. So the chapter lengths start getting a little shorter, we start switching perspectives more often, and everything just feels like it's happening so fast. And it's kind of funny, whenever I read, you know, a longer thriller like this, it takes me like 2 weeks to read like the first half of the book, and then like 2 days to read the second half of the book. I literally spent 40 minutes on the stair stepper the other day finishing up the end of this book, and I didn't even realize I had spent so much time on the stair stepper, and I could barely walk the next day because I was just so engrossed in the final couple chapters of this book. And I think that's definitely my favorite, like kind of preferred way to go through it. Obviously, I could probably read the beginning faster, but I like to be able to take time to think about this investigation that they're doing, and you spend such a big part of the first half just living with these characters, seeing what they're seeing, working through all of the clues and everything else, and then at the end things are kind of starting to fall into place, but there's so much action and craziness going on, you gotta speed through it real quick. So the authors definitely do an incredible job of pacing this novel and making it feel very rushed and urgent at the end, but giving you time in the beginning to really sit with these characters so that the ending feels like a really nice, good payoff. So before I jump into my more spoilery thoughts, I'll just kind of give a final concluding wrap up. This book was so much fun, and I think I've said that a couple times now. So fun, so fun. Such a fun, very fun. That's always fun. I can't think of any other good way to describe it. I mean, it's like riding a roller coaster. It's thrilling and exciting, and it's just one of my favorite types, genres of books. So it's fun to be able to jump back into something like this. So I think next I will be jumping into spoilers. So if you haven't read it, I would suggest logging off now and coming back after you've read it, because it is, I highly recommend that you read it if you do like mystery thrillers. Let's jump into spoilers. The identity of the serial killer definitely surprised me at the end. I was not expecting it to be Fairhaven, the construction or the real estate guru guy. But I guess, you know, eat the rich. But I mean, looking back on it, I feel kind of dumb for not having caught it, because there were definitely many clues that pointed to him being the killer at the end. I'm just not that good at predicting thrillers, because I'm not usually reading that critically when it comes to fun books like these. I was definitely also, I guess, a little surprised that they actually decided to go ahead and kill O'Shaughnessy, the cop character that had been joining them, but I guess it makes sense. I mean, this was a new character. If you're gonna kill off somebody, probably be the new character that we barely know. But it would have, I think he would have been a fun character kind of explore more, but I guess we'll see what kind of cop characters we get in the future, if any of them continue on in the series. So those are my thoughts. If you've read this book and want to discuss it with me in the comments, I would love to discuss this book with some people. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.